Hi, my name is Stella and I'm back today with another video. As I've spoken on other videos about the IELTS and PTE, so today I'll be talking about the TOEFL. We all know that, of course, that in US the IELTS is mandatory and it is also accepted in all colleges and universities, but there are specific universities who demand for the TOEFL scores. So most of the students, as we know, that 120 is the final points for the TOEFL, but then a lot of students have a lot of problem in scoring 100 in TOEFL. There are so many minor details, but I don't want to get into those. I will talk about them in other videos. But today I'll be talking about TOEFL and how to score 100 above in TOEFL. I know that there are so many other minor details talking about the other modules of reading, listening, writing, and speaking. I'll be talking about them in details in other videos. But today I want to explain around 6 points which are very important for you in order to score 100 plus in the TOEFL. We all know that there is so much of material available in the TOEFL, and there are many students who also prepare on their own. Now I will be talking about the advantages and disadvantages of doing such things. Let's talk about the first point. The first point is get to know the TOEFL format. Naturally, if you're preparing the TOEFL for the first time, you need to understand the format. You need to understand the time for every module. You need to understand the question types. You need to understand the entire structure of the TOEFL. So that's very important, because when we start practicing, the most important thing is that we don't know where we are heading. But once we know where we are heading, the practice becomes easier for each and every module. So the most important point that I've noted here is get to know the TOEFL format, which is very important. Then we go to the second one, find your baseline score, and for that you can take a full length score. Now, if you take a full length test, it can be online, or it can be, if you have enrolled yourself in an institute, you can get your tutor to give you a test or two initially before you start the practice. So on that basis, you get to know exactly where you stand or where your level is, and that will give the trainer and also you a good start of how to actually start the practicing part. So find your baseline score means some students have different levels. As we all know that this kind of test, especially like the IELTS, PT and the TOEFL, do not have any kind of syllabus. So knowing your fluency, your pronunciation, and all these other details, your grammar strength, which are very important for the TOEFL. So baseline score, for example, if I know I score around 60, 70, or I score around 80, so from there on, what I need to do is the baseline score, which actually can be done by taking a full length test. Now there are some free tests online, but also you have some other tests which you can buy them. So there are around $49 to $50, which are not very expensive. If you take this full length test, you also get a chance to know where exactly you stand before you actually start the test. Then we have the third part is calculate the number of hours you'll need to study. Exactly, because if we're talking about the first time doing your TOEFL, you need to know how much time you need to invest. For example, when you're taking the first test, you've taken the first full length test, you need to understand how much time you need to put in order to get 100. Either you can take the help or the advice of the trainers, or you can also find it out from your mentors of how much you need time. So some students take 1 month, some students take 2 months. It depends on 3 to 4 weeks or maybe 6 weeks of actually to practice to get 100 in the TOEFL. Now when you calculate the number of hours, you need to know how much time you need to spend on a particular module. For example, reading, how much time you need, listening, how much time you need. Once you have the division of number of hours of study, then it becomes easier to score individually, which calculates in total to the number of scores that you need for your TOEFL. If we're talking about the fourth point, use high quality resources. As we all know, again, that online there are so many kind of material available, so we do not exactly know which are the tests we should use. As in this video right now, I would always advise you to use the official test of TOEFL, and there are other tests also. Please do take the advice of your trainers or your mentors who are helping you in this training, so that you know exactly what kind of resources you're supposed to use for your TOEFL practice. Then you have the fifth point. The fifth point is target your weaknesses. It's very important. So we keep on practicing, we keep on doing tests, but we do not know exactly where we are. We don't know exactly where our weaknesses lies. But once you know the weaknesses, for example, example, I'm very good in listening and I'm very good at speaking, but my reading scores are not improving. So I need, from my number of hours of study, I need to give more time to the reading part. So in this, what happens is that I level up to the kind of scores that I have in listening and speaking, which I'm already good in, and then I improve my reading scores, and that means I have to increase the number of hours for my reading. So that is the kind of plan you'll have to continue in order to get 100 in your TOEFL. The fifth point is, after you're targeting your weaknesses, comes the sixth point, is track your progress. I know that there are many intelligent students who try to practice on their own, but I always advise students to have someone who can assess you. Assess you in the sense means who can make corrections, who can also guide you, who can also from time to time tell you your mistakes, which is very important. By tracking your progress, you come to know your weak areas, you come to know your strong areas, and in that way it will help you to score 100. So in this video, again, I would like to mention these 6 points right now, how to score 100 in TOEFL. I'll get back with more videos on reading, listening, writing, and speaking for the TOEFL, and how to score 100 in all those other modules also. And that's it for now. Have a good day.